I still remember the exact moment everything shifted, not with a bang, not with someone yelling, but with a sentence said quietly enough that the speaker thought they'd get away with it. "Are you sure you're supposed to be up here?" Those words landed harder than any insult I'd heard growing up because they weren't shouted. They were casual, comfortable, like the person saying them assumed the world would automatically agree, and in that moment I realized something that would change me forever. Most injustice doesn't happen loudly. It happens politely while everyone else looks away. Let me back up a little. This story didn't start on that plane. It started years earlier, with me being the kid teachers underestimated the teenager store clerks followed around the adult who learned to smile while being doubted. You know the look, that quick scan, the subtle pause, the question hidden inside someone's eyes that says, "Do you really belong here?" I learned early how to swallow that feeling, how to keep my head down and prove myself twice over because that's what you're taught. Work harder, be quieter, don't rock the boat. And for a long time I did exactly that. Fast forward to that flight. New names, new city. Different chapter of my life, but the same old assumptions. I was traveling with my 2 kids exhausted, trying to keep things smooth like any parent does. The cabin was calm, that artificial calm you only get in premium seating. People typing, sipping drinks, pretending the rest of the plane doesn't exist. We found our seats settled in nothing dramatic. Or so I thought. The first comment came from a flight attendant as she walked by, eyes lingering just a little too long. "Let me double-check your seats," she said, smiling, but not really smiling. I handed over the boarding passes. Everything checked out. She nodded, but something in her posture changed. Stiffer. Colder. When she walked away, I caught a glimpse of another passenger watching us, then quickly looking back at his screen. That familiar tightening in my chest kicked in. I told myself not to overthink it. I always do, that try to give people the benefit of the doubt because admitting what's happening feels heavier than ignoring it. Then came the comment. Not even directed at us. Just tossed into the air like a joke meant for someone else's ears. Something about people like that always ending up where they don't belong. Quiet enough to deny later, loud enough to be heard. My kid looked at me, confused eyes searching my face for guidance. That's when I felt it. That internal switch flipping, the one between endurance and refusal. I stood up, not dramatically, just enough to be seen. I asked her calmly to repeat what she'd said. She laughed. Actually, laughed. "Oh, don't be so sensitive," she replied like I was the one causing discomfort. Round us, the cabin went silent. Not shocked silence, avoidant silence. People suddenly fascinated by seat pockets and window shades. I waited for someone, anyone to speak up. Nobody did. So I spoke. I told her exactly what she'd implied, why it was offensive and why it wasn't okay. She crossed her arms, that defensive posture people take when they know they're wrong but don't want to lose face. "I didn't mean it like that," she said. That classic line. Translation, I meant it. I just didn't expect consequences. She tried to turn it around, accused me of causing a scene, of making others uncomfortable. That's when I realized something else. The system doesn't just protect people who discriminate. It pressures the person being targeted to stay quiet for the sake of everyone else's comfort. And honestly, for a split second, I almost backed down. Years of conditioning kicked in. Be polite, don't escalate, think about how you'll be perceived. But then my kid squeezed my hand and whispered, "You didn't do anything wrong." And that was it. That was the moment I chose a different ending than the one I'd lived my whole life. I asked for her supervisor. She hesitated, tried to wave it off, said we could talk later. No. Later is where accountability goes to die, I insisted. My voice wasn't loud, but it didn't shake either. When the supervisor arrived suddenly, the tone changed. Apologies started flying. Passive ones, corporate ones. We take these concerns very seriously. You've heard it before. The flight attendant tried to downplay it, said it was a misunderstanding, that she was just stressed. The supervisor looked at me like he was trying to decide which version of events would be easiest to manage. That's when another passenger spoke up. A guy a few rows ahead. I heard what she said. He admitted clearly uncomfortable. It wasn't okay. The room shifted. Not dramatically, but enough. One voice broke the silence, and suddenly the truth had weight. The flight attendant went quiet. No more laughter, no more dismissiveness, just that look people get when they realize the ground beneath them isn't as solid as they thought. The supervisor thanked the passenger, then turned back to me. Promised to file a report. Promised follow-up. Promised change. I nodded, but I wasn't interested in promises anymore. I was interested in patterns, and patterns don't change unless they're exposed. We sat back down. My heart was pounding not from fear, but from adrenaline. I felt something I hadn't felt in situations like this before. Relief, pride, exhaustion, yeah, but also clarity. Around us, the cabin slowly returned to normal, but it wasn't the same. People avoided eye contact. Some looked embarrassed. Others looked annoyed, like I'd ruined their peaceful flight by refusing to be disrespected quietly. After we landed, the supervisor approached again, this time more serious. He told me there would be an internal investigation, that the flight attendant would be removed from duty pending review. He asked if there was anything else he could do. I looked at him and said, "Teach your staff that silence isn't neutrality, and teach your passengers that comfort doesn't come at the cost of someone else's dignity." He nodded, not sure what to say to that. Walking off that plane, I felt lighter. Not because justice was perfectly served, it rarely is, but because I didn't carry the weight alone this time. I didn't shrink. I didn't swallow it. I modeled something different for my kid. That mattered more than any apology. Here's the thing nobody likes to talk about. The villain of this story isn't just the person who made the comment. It's the dozen people who heard it and chose convenience over courage. It's the culture that teaches us to stay out of it, to mind our business, to let things slide, because sliding is easier than standing. Since that day, I've replayed the moment in my head 100 times. Not wishing I'd said more, but realizing how close I came to saying nothing. And that scares me. Because how many times did I choose silence before? How many times did you— I'm not telling you this because I think I'm some kind of hero. I'm not. I hesitated. I doubted myself. I felt my hands shake. Courage isn't a personality trait. It's a decision you make while you're afraid. And sometimes the cost of not making it is higher than the cost of speaking up. So here's my question to you, and I want you to really sit with it. If you had been on that plane, what would you have done? Would you have spoken up, or would you have looked away and told yourself it wasn't your place? Be honest. We don't change by pretending. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Argue with me if you want. Share a story if you've lived something similar, because these conversations matter. Silence protects the problem. Voices challenge it. And the next time someone quietly questions whether another human being belongs, maybe there will be one more person willing to say, "That's not okay."